Well, here we are, folks. It is the final for the NFL fantasy season. So if you're in your fantasy finals, congratulations to you. I happen to have made my fantasy NFL final in my league. So I'm going to be taking a look at the matchups, maybe looking at some players that might pop off, as I like to say. Maybe thumbing a Chubb into your lineup. There are so many jokes you can make of Nick Chubb's name. It's just fantastic. But anyway, I'm going to be taking a look forward to what's going to be happening in the last week of the NFL fantasy season. So yeah, stay with me. Right, so let's recap the semi-finals real quick by doing the semi-final entourage for the Orion Bowl. This is obviously for my Orion Bowl fantasy compadres, who are the main viewers of this show. And if you're not in the league, then just follow along for the drama and the intrigue that is the Orion Bowl. So the semi-final, the Vinny Chase Award, the star of the show, has to go to the new addition to the Baby Got Dak lineup in what we like to call Tradegate. Cam Akers, he hit the ground running, 3 touchdowns, 32 points, 70 overall, battering the coach's sons in the semi-finals. He was the star of the LA offense, and he was the star of the Baby Got Dak lineup. And it was a tremendous performance, and that's one of the main reasons that Baby Got Dak is in the final. Also, the coach's sons did not exactly cover themselves in glory, let's say. So, congratulations on getting to the finals, Baby Got Dak. I'll see you there, which is, spoiler alert, I also won my matchup. But the Johnny Drama Heavy Lifting Award goes to Big Leonard Fournette, because he hasn't gotten a lot of love this year because he's not been putting up all the highest scores. But he did contribute to the Gorillas' highest score of the week, 126. Very good score for a team that has struggled this season, to be fair. But they've got a couple of good players that they can really... This is a 2-keeper league, so they've got some decent players, one of which I traded over to him in exchange for Nick Chubb. But anyway, Leonard Fournette, he gets the Heavy Lifting Award. 16.20, decent score, and he's a big dude, and he does a lot of heavy lifting. I like that. So, but that allowed actually the Down Stray Gorillas to avoid the toilet bowl bracket. So now the Legion of Mixon will be in the toilet bowl bracket, trying to avoid the toilet bowl, but claim first pick. So then you've got the Turtle Better Than Expected Award, has to go to the Baltimore Ravens' George Kittle. George Kittle has been on tremendous form since Deebo Samuel has been out, and Deebo Samuel has also been ruled out of this week's game in the finals. That could be good for the Baltimore Ravens. But either way, 24 points for a tight end. This season, tight ends outside of Travis Kelce have been mostly hot garbage. And that is true. Unless you are a Kelce owner, you're not too happy with your tight ends. However, in recent weeks, George Kittle has been the exception to that rule. He has been getting back to Kittle form. And I've got to say, it's just at the right time. Just at the right time. And then you've got the Ari Diversity Award, whose diverse acting range is akin to what Jalen Waddle was able to do when he helped the Indianapolis Colts avoid the toilet bowl bracket by beating the team with no name as soundly. Jalen Waddle put up some very good numbers. It's like he was all over the field. It's like he was everywhere at once, and his range was as far and wide as Mr. Jeremy Piven. That's why he gets that award. And then the E Terribleness Award goes to the Broncos D, simply because -4, number 1, is awful. And also, if the Harlots had played the D on their other line, on their bench, the Jags, then they would have actually beaten me and they would be in the final right now. So, that limp D, it really cost him. Really cost him. So also just want to quickly give a shout out to the team with no nameth, who were the only team in the consolation bracket that seemed to understand tanking. 68 points is a great tank. That's a solid tank job, buddy. And I know that you did that intentionally. To get that kind of number, you have to do that intentionally. Am I right? Anyway, you now get the opportunity to try and, although you might get the toilet bowl for the second year consecutive, and that's not a great look, but you do also have the opportunity to get the win and claim first pick in the draft, so all to play for. Quick bit of NFL news. The biggest news, really, has been that Derek Carr has been benched and sent home. It's like, why? Why have you done that? I mean, he's just not that bad. Yeah, he's not a spectacular quarterback, but he's actually pretty solid. He's got the same interceptions as Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott's had 5 less games to throw those interceptions in. That just puts it into perspective for you. And the issue, really, with the Raiders is it's the coach and it's the offensive line. It is not Derek Carr. Sending Derek Carr home is not fixing any of the problems. And they're still actually in the hunt for the wild card spot. They could still make the playoffs. So why are you sending Derek Carr home at this point? Something must have gone on behind the scenes that I'm not aware of, because it just seems like, look, he's not spectacular, but he's not that bad. You certainly don't bench him and send him home at this point. I think they're going to realise after a while that the problems didn't actually lie with Derek Carr at all. But that's I thought it was a very odd move by the Raiders, who just seem to be imploding, don't they? But anyway, speaking of quarterbacks, might notice that I'm wearing my brand new Mekhi Becton Jets jersey. Love this. It's the first away jersey I've ever bought, and I really like the crisp white and the green. I absolutely love it. And the reason I'm wearing it on this video today is because whilst he's not in my team, a lot of my fantasy hopes are pinned on one Mr. Mike White. See, the white Jets jersey, because Mike White, and he plays for the Jets. Anyway, the players that I'm playing in my lineup this week are going to be Garrett Wilson and Bam Knight. When you look at the numbers that they've put up when Mike White has been playing, you've got 25 plus for Garrett Wilson and 15 plus for Bam Knight. So when Mike White is playing, they are must starts, and they're both in my lineup. So actually, my real MVP, if I manage to pull off the upset win this week in the championship final, would be Mike White, and he's not even on my goddamn team, which is just funny. But either way, I'm looking forward to that matchup, actually, because number one, it's the return of Mike White. It's the revenge game for Geno Smith. And I'm just looking forward to it. The Jets with Mike White are a different team. They really are. Or at least they were in the regular season. Who knows? Maybe they'll shit the bed again. It is the Jets. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. So let's take a look at the NFL 2022 Fantasy Finals. My Fantasy Finals bet is actually in already. And I have gone for... It's no secret. My opponent is obviously playing Travis Kelce, Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, and Cam Akers, as well as Stephon Diggs. So it's no surprise that I've put a bet on all of them to score any time, coming in at 90-1. So yeah, I'm gonna go for that. It still won't come off, but at least every single time one of his players scores, I won't be completely devastated. So let's take a look at the actual final matchup. So let's start off with the Toilet Bowl. The Toilet Bowl matchup. So the loser of this game gets second pick and gets the Toilet Bowl trophy. So, and the team with no names know all about that because they actually won it last year. So they could be the second consecutive year of being the Toilet Bowl team. But either way, it's not been a great start for them either. But yeah, well, it's not so much it's not been a great start for them. It's just that Schultz has really done quite well. He might get the Turtle Award of being better than expected, to be fair. So you've got Legion of Mixon. They're playing Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon. Obviously, the Legion of Mixon, their namesake. They're gonna be relying heavily on Mixon there. You've got Aaron Jones and Slayton as well. Brandon Ayuk. That's a good play. That's a very good play actually, because with Samuel Debo being out, Ayuk is going to get more of the looks, and the 49ers they could destroy the Raiders. The Raiders seem to have imploded, so that's a really good play. Montgomery's a good play against Detroit as well. He's probably going to put up some good numbers. Yeah, I was going to say that if you have Brandon Ayuk and you're in your final, he's definitely got to be a play. Any 49ers player really has to be a play against the Las Vegas Raiders. And then the team with no name, you've got Daniel Jones. That's an excellent pickup, to be fair. That's somebody that's been mentioned quite a lot because, number one, he runs the ball very well. Number two, he's going against one of the deadest teams in the NFL, which is the Indianapolis Colts. And yeah, Daniel Jones, that's an excellent pickup by the team with no Namath. That might save you from getting the toilet bowl trophy there. We've got Josh Jacobs. The problem is, I mean, the thing is, the Vegas Raiders, they're going to have to rely very heavily on Josh Jacobs. So he might just get enough yards to be able to justify it. But if they're playing from behind the whole time, I don't know. I would be steering clear of any Raider right now. I feel like that there's something wrong with that team. Godwin against Carolina, that's probably a pretty good play. Njoku, that's a decent play. CeeDee Lamb's already put up 10 points, and you obviously had Ezekiel Elliott. You probably would have hoped for more from Ezekiel Elliott with Tony Pollard being out, honestly. But never mind, such is life. Algier, that's a great play. That's a great play. He's going up against Arizona, who have put up the most rushing yards for running backs in the last 2 months, I think, or something like that. The Cardinals they're a sieve for running back points. And Algier, he's been looking really good. He's actually kind of he's a bit of a sleeper. That's a great play. Jets D against Seahawks as well. The Jets D have been putting up some good numbers. And again, with Mike White, they're going to be able to keep the ball on offense for longer, you would have thought. So that's a decent play as well. I've got to say, I kind of like the pickups and the players that the team with no Namath have made. I'm going to go with the team with no Namath. I think they're going to win this one. They're going to get the first overall pick in the 2023 draft, and they're going to avoid the toilet bowl. But mostly because Daniel Jones and Algier, they're both very good plays. I like it. It's good. Then you've got the Dallas Stray Gorillas and the Indianapolis Colts. The winner will get 3rd overall pick. Loser gets 4th overall pick. So you're still playing for draft picks in this one. So we've already started off in this one because we've got Dak Prescott playing for the Indianapolis Colts. Only put up 14 points. That's not brilliant, in all honesty. You probably would have wanted more. But then, the Dallas Stray Gorillas, you've got the Justin Herbert in at quarterback. You've got Leonard Fournette, Dante Foreman. They're both pretty good. Leonard Fournette could have a big game against Carolina because they're still playing for the playoffs position. So they've got everything to play for still. Because that's something to bear in mind at this point in the season. Have a look at what teams have anything to play for, and if they don't have anything to play for, sometimes you need to steer clear of some of those players, because if they've already cinched home field advantage or a bye in the playoffs or whatever, if the game doesn't make any difference to the team, you might see some of their big playmakers get rested, because what's the point in injuring your star players before the actual playoff run? So that is something you do need to keep an eye on. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers do have a lot to play for still. So Fournette is a must play. Foreman as well is in the same game, playing for the same stakes. Got to put those in. Higgins, that's a decent play against Buffalo. That's a game with a lot of implications there. Smith, Philadelphia, that's going to be interesting. Gardner Minshew is going to be playing, and he is a good quarterback, to be fair. Pittman, I'm not sure about that because the Colts are just a dead team. Hawkinson, decent plays. Bills defense against Cincinnati, don't know. I think that might be a high scoring game. So putting either of those defenses in could be dangerous. So then you've got Dylan and Najee Harris coming in for the. Derrick Henry's inactive. That is a shame. Waddle, he's been doing great numbers. Metcalf, Freiermuth, Mike Evans. I'd steer clear of Mike Evans, honestly, because he's just not been getting a lot of the looks from Brady. Brady seems to have started to really start linking up with Russell Gage quite a lot more. So I would steer clear of Mike Evans personally. For me, I've got to say, I think the Dallas Stray Gorillas are probably going to get this just because King Henry is out. And I mean, that's always a problem. But then we'll have a look at the Coach's Sons versus the San Diego Harlots. This one, the winner gets 5th overall pick, loser gets 6th overall pick. So playing for that draft pick to come in just behind the Gorilla or the Colt. So the Coach's Sons have put in Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy, that's an excellent play. That really is. Because he's been doing tremendous numbers. Yeah, he's got a brilliant team around him, but he's also just been playing very, very well. Connor for Arizona, I don't know. I'll probably steer clear of most Cardinals, but they are running the ball quite a lot, so maybe that's a good one. McCaffrey's going to put up sickening numbers because he's playing against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are an imploding team right now. Jamar Chase, very good. That's going to be a fun game, and he's by far and away the number one wide receiver in Cincinnati. Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you've got him on your lineup, you're playing him, whether you're in the final or not. If you've still got something to play for, you're playing those danger guys. Like if you've got McCaffrey, especially. Ramondre Stevenson, don't know about him. He kind of shit the bed last week. Mark Andrews, he's just like very, very low floor, very high ceiling. It's a boom or bust. You just don't know what's going to happen. Lions D against Chicago, it's okay. Fields for the quarterback for the Harlots, that's a pretty good play. Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, both decent. Saquon Barkley especially because they're going to be going against the Colts, who are a dead team. Devontae Adams, I don't know if you play him because he's number one, he's not got Derek Carr, his usual quarterback. Number two, the Raiders just seem to be imploding. I don't know. I'd steer clear of Devontae Adams in that one. I don't know. Who else have you got to put in? Oh, nobody. Find somebody on the waiver wire. Maybe play McKinnon in as your flex. I don't know, but then you've got... Yeah, I don't know. I'd find a way of not playing Devontae Adams, honestly, if you want to win that game. Tyreek Hill, that's a must play. Evan Ingram, that's a good play. Giants D, that's an excellent pickup because, again, the Colts are just not very good at looking after the football. So the Giants defense, that's an excellent pickup if you're playing a fantasy this week. It really is. So then let's move on to the final, the grand final. The Baltimore Ravens versus Baby Got Dak. And yes, I know. I did moan about their trade last week because they've changed 50% of their lineup and I don't think it was the fairest trade in the world. Have I done a trade this week? Yes, I have. Look, I said that the rules were only going to change next season. Until then, it's all fair game. And my trade was pretty fair, I thought. What I've done is I've traded Jeff Wilson and Pollard, who we knew was going to be inactive, for Nick Chubb. Now, the person I traded them to, they're in the consolation bracket, but they're a Cowboys fan, and it's a two-keeper league, so you can keep Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is a potential keeper because it depends where Ezekiel Elliott goes. Although he's getting, but there's a lot that can happen in an off season, so it's not certain. But on current form, you'd probably keep Tony Pollard, especially if you're a Cowboys fan, because it's always fun in fantasy to have a couple of players from the team that you support. So that trade has gone through. Have I kind of abandoned my morals to try and get a victory in the championship game? Yeah, you betcha I have. Because I want to win. I want to win at all costs, baby. So now I've got a much more realistic chance of staying in this game. Honestly, when you look at Baby Got Dak's lineup, though, I just feel like, blimey, it's still an uphill battle here. So, Baby Got Dak, ridiculous lineup. Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, Cam Akers, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Tucker, and the Cowboys D. Now, the Cowboys D, they only put up 10 points. I say only put up 10 points. I was expecting them to do quite a lot more damage than that against Tennessee without their starting quarterback. But I didn't notice that he actually had the 49ers D on his bench. I'd have played them against the Las Vegas Raiders, who have just imploded. I think that might be a missed opportunity there. I think they're going to do way more points than the Cowboys D have done. I mean, it might not make a difference because Josh Allen, he could put up 40 points on his own. Akers, as we saw, but they're not playing the Broncos this week. They're playing the Chargers. So, the Broncos were just pretty bad. So Akers is probably not going to match what he did last week. Still going to do good numbers. Jefferson and Diggs, both very dangerous. Travis Kelce, I do kind of... Because he's not as big a weapon for Dak as he is against anybody else in my league because I have Pat Mahomes. So every time Travis Kelce scores, it's going to be from a throwing play. And then that means that rather than it being like a 7-point deficit, it's like a 4-point deficit, 3.5 or whatever. So that's actually okay. That's might be my saving grace in this one. Because then you've got on my lineup, But this is probably the final lineup I'm going with. Because Mike White is going to be playing, I'm playing Bam Knight in running back. I'm playing Garrett Wilson in wide receiver. Because every time Mike White has played, both of those two guys have done good numbers. Pat Mahomes in at quarterback, it's not even a question. Playing against Denver as well. So that's a really good omen. I've got the Chiefs defense as well because the Denver offense have been pretty poor. So I feel like the Chiefs can maybe just run over the Broncos in that one, I'm hoping. As I said, I traded from Nick Chubb. I don't think Nick Chubb's got the best matchup this week. I think he's probably only going to do about 10 points, but his floor is quite high. His floor is about 9. So that's what I'm kind of going to hope for. I'm just going to hope for about 9 points, just damage mitigation. Bam Knight, with Mike White in, he could do some pretty good numbers. I'm going to hope for 10 points. You've got Scary Terry against Cleveland. That's a fun matchup. Garrett Wilson, again, when he's had Mike White in at quarterback, he's done 25 points each time. That's like he's had Mike White. So he's a must play. I've got to play him. George Kittle with Deebo Samuel out. George Kittle is a must play. I think he's a must play anyway, to be perfectly honest. Dalvin Cook as well. Tyler Bass, the Chiefs D, and yeah, like I said, I just feel like I've got a chance to win, obviously. I think it's going to be pretty close, but for me, Josh Allen, Diggs and Jefferson, those three are going to they're going to do some real damage. It's going to be hard to keep up with them. Have I got a chance? Yeah, because when you look at my lineup, actually, it's not bad. It's really not bad. Best of luck, Dak. Honestly, I mean that. Like you really do. You take part in the league to a tremendous standard, and I really appreciate it because you're always trading, you're always taking part, and that's what this is all about. It's absolutely. I've had so much fun this year, and I'm going to be crushed if I lose, and that's very likely. It is very likely. I'm going to be crushed, but not like not crushed. Because the best thing about fantasy NFL is there's always next year. That's what I'm going to tell myself anyway. So, right, it's going to be exciting to see how these play out. If I picked for you, then prove me right. If I picked against you, prove me wrong. And I'll do a wrap-up show next week. We'll see if I'm wearing my championship ring. I'm hoping I might be, but I think pragmatically the chances are slim because Baby Got Dak has put together an incredible lineup. But either way, looking forward to this week. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. It's been a really fun season. Thank you to everyone that's taken part. Honestly, it means the world to me. I absolutely love doing this league. It's so much fun. But yeah, anyways, I will see you all next week.